is like you stick around in it, you linger in it. You know, like, man, that's like just dirty, man. Now you're selling their stuff. You're selling the kids' bikes.
Yeah. You're taking
Man,
advantage.
that dude is like, yo, I mean,
He was a snake.
Just a
and not just that.
Scumbag,
he
bro.
used to take me on his drug deals with him at the Lake Michigan.
Wow.
So he would take me while my mom's working.
What type of drugs was this guy dealing? Did you know?
At the time, it was just dime bags, weed bags, dime bags, and so so anyway, he would take me with him while he would go deal drugs while my mom is working. Like,
did she know that you were on these, like, you know, on these drug dealing rides?
These adventures?
Yeah. Did she
know.
Adventures in babysitting?
She probably did, because
Jesus.
he would watch us while she was at work.
Holy crap.
So anyway, the narcs caught him, and
were you with him?
I was with him.
Oh boy.
So I was
this is
in.
just getting sloppy.
Yeah, it is.
So I was in danger because DCFS could have taken me away if they arrested him, and then now I'm a property of the state because he's a drug dealer. So anyway, what happens is he lies to them. He's like, "Oh, you know, just let me go because I'm with my kids." And so they let him go because they didn't want to take me away.
Sure.
Some other good men were like, you know what, man, you're right. It's not even his kid.
Well, it's a lot of paperwork.
Yeah. That's
if I'm the officer, I'm like, Jesus Christ, now I got to deal with kids and like
he's
the
like,
state.
yeah,
It's just too much. Whatever.
So he's like, so they let him off the hook.
It's a lot
so
of
I was
paperwork.
like, I was in harm's way because this man was a drug dealer, and not just that, he would have his little drug dealer friends come over our house.
Yeah.
And they would be like,
Smoking.
you know, they would use that Michael Jackson Thriller album.
Okay, all right.
It's traumatizing to me
doing
because
lines. It's traumatizing.
it is because they would.
So that's why she recognized it when she came in, man. Is it okay if I put it this way?
Put it that way.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna put it that way. Oh my goodness, I had no idea that was trauma. That was activating trauma.
But I love Michael Jackson. But anyway,
I do too, man.
they would take the album and put the weed on it, the marijuana, and they would put the album at a 45-degree angle.
Oh my goodness!
So the seeds could fall out from the grass. Or whatever.
Oh, that's a technique, huh?
Yeah. So they were separating the seeds from the stash or hash, whatever.
Right.
And I would watch them do all this and then make their little bags.
He's just letting you sit there and watch it up.
Yeah. But here's the good thing is that I think I was pretty sharp because I was really mean to him and all his friends.
Yeah.
So I was like, they're snakes, they're drug dealers. So I was just like, I would be mean and have a mean, ugly face when I'm usually very smiley and, you know, outgoing. But with them, I was just like mean. And so they would call.
I can't even imagine how these men, like, look at this little girl, man. What's wrong with her, man? Yeah. What's wrong with your girl, boy?
Yep. And so they would call me ISIS. Because like, she's cold, she's mean.
ISIS.
Yo, but actually that probably protected you.
But it protected me from being like molested.
Yeah.
Thank God I was never molested. Yeah. But what happened is years later.
God. That's true. I didn't even think about that. I mean, you're bringing all these like, you know, men with bad character around.
Yeah. That's
little girl.
That's a powerful name, though. ISIS. I want to. What's the origin of that? Is that ancient Greek or Roman? It might be.
It is, but it just means ice cold. So you don't want to name your daughter that because she's going to be mean.
Really?
Yeah, you're speaking that into existence.
She's going to be cold as ice. So you don't want to name her that. But that's what they called me because I would put up that facade for them. As a protection mechanism.
Okay. Smart.
But what happened was he later on got into shooting up heroin.
Oh boy.
So this is where it gets really exciting. He would shoot up heroin and he would be dripping, sweating, and he'd always have to have these huge...
He shot the heroin in front of you?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
But he told me he was diabetic and that he had to shoot up his insulin. So I'm at home with this man that is
doing heroin.
This guy's got game for years.
He's just gaming everybody.
I was going to say game for days, but he's gaming you guys for years.
Oh my goodness, bro.
Holy.
And so what happens is he'd have a huge cup of Pepsi.
Yeah.
And he'd be talking to me at the kitchen table and then he's like nodding off.
Jeez.
And he's falling asleep and sweat is just like dripping into this Pepsi cup. And
How old were you at this point?
At this point, I'm probably maybe 9 or 10.
Oh my God.
While my mom's off at work making her money, I'm sitting here with this.
To take care of him.
To take care of him.
Right.
And his habit. So what happens is,
oh my goodness,
this one day he's falling asleep and he's like, oh, I sweat so much because I'm half Puerto Rican and I have hot blood.
Wow, that is this guy. He just tells lie. He's a perpetual liar.
Yeah.
And he believes his own stuff.
Oh yeah.
You could tell he believes his own stuff.
Apparently, he convinces other people as well.
Because he convinced himself.
Yeah.
So it's like
he's like, that's why I sweat so much. So I was like, okay. And then he used to tell me, oh, I'm your real father.
Oh wow.
And he's like, oh, your mom lied. Frank's not your real father. I'm your real father. So then I was like, he must have known about my real father. Sure. My mom must have told him. So he would always be like, I'm your dad. That's why we look alike. And I was like, no, you're not my dad.
An idiot, man.
Yeah.
Straight idiot.
So what happens is one day he's high on heroin. We have this yellow tabby cat named Topaz, my favorite cat.
Oh.
He's giving the cat a bath in a metal double sink. Okay. And everyone knows that cats they're not fond of water.
Right.
So the cat, of course, scratches him. He goes off on the cat because he's high. He bangs the cat against this metal sink, and I'm in the bathroom right off of our kitchen.
Yeah.
And I scream because I knew that he banged my cat against the sink.
No.
So then I scream and I was like, I thought it was dead. So anyway, he grabs the cat by the neck and he's like, you're crying over this effing cat. He's like, this cat scratched me. You should be crying because he scratched me. And I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, so anyway, I think the cat's dead because the cat's not moving. And he takes the cat and he throws it across the kitchen floor and the cat just slides across the floor. The cat looks dead.
Right.
And so I'm terrified because he's practically killing my cat. And then he comes into the bathroom and I'm in this little tiny square bathroom with this club tub, like the old fashioned tubs.
Yeah.
And he's pushing me around. And I was terrified because I was like, if he pushes me and I hit my head on this tub, I could die or be paralyzed.
And your mom's at work.
And my mom's at work. And so he's throwing me around and then he grabs me by the neck and he picks me up against the wall. And I'm terrified that this man's about to kill me. And then I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden, I was like, I'm sorry. I didn't know that the cat hurt you. I'm sorry. And I'm like paranoid and I'm frantic.
Oh my goodness.
And so finally he lets me down and I run to my room and I lock myself in the closet and I'm just like totally traumatized.
Yeah.
So I'm in the closet for hours until my mom comes home from work that night. And she's like, Monica, banging on the door, let me in. I was like, no. I was like, no. And so anyway, I finally let her in and I tell her what happened. And so Jerry packs up his bags. He has his little crocodile tears. He's like, Monica, I'm so sorry. You know that I love you. You're like my own daughter. And it's the drugs. It wasn't me. I would never do anything to hurt you. And he's like boo-hooing, crying. And so then my mom decides to let him stay.
Oh, come on.
Even though he almost killed me and my cat.
That is terrible, dude.
And so from that point, I fell into a depression because I realized that my mom cared more about this boyfriend than she cared about her own daughter.
This is terrible.
Yeah.
This is terrible.
Yeah, I would have to say she just cared more about not being alone, right? She didn't want to be alone.
And having what she would consider love.
Yeah.
And so from that point, I was just like, I lost respect for my mom.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm on my own. I have to protect myself because she's not protecting me.
Right.
And he was in and out of jail and she would bail him out of jail and we'd have to go visit him in jail. And I was like, Mom, I don't want to go. I don't like him. And I was like, Mom, you're beautiful. You're smart. Like, why are you with this guy? He steals your money. I was like, it's hard enough to be a single mom, but then you've got this man taking your money. And then you're bailing him out of jail, trying to, scrape up thousands of dollars to get him out of jail. I was like, Mom, why are you with him? And so it was like a reverse role where I was the parent trying to tell her, like a teenager, to be like, oh, let that jerk go.
Yeah.
So it's like I was the mom and she was like the teenager, unfortunately. And then finally at 13, she finally let him go. But then she got with his best friend.
No way.
Who was another drug user.
Oh my God. What is going on?
But that's what happens when you're an orphan.
What did she let him? Well, true. What made her let him go? Was it because she had the other guy?
Maybe.
Monkey
I don't even know exactly.
Yeah.
Oh no! It was because he went off on her one day. Like he started giving her cocaine at this point.
Oh boy!
And so I found cocaine underneath my mom's bed and in her purse, and I was like, oh hell no! So I take the little cocaine and I'm dumping it down the toilet. I was like, oh no! We're not having any of this.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. What is it about good men that your mom was adverse to?
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm sure at some point in her life, you know, she had met a decent dude, right? Who didn't have a lot of game. He wasn't a smooth talker. He wasn't lying to her. He wasn't selling drugs. You know, he wasn't abusive to cats. Maybe she met him at work. Maybe he was nice to her. He smiled at her. Maybe he was the guy who served her coffee. Whatever it was, I'm sure at some point in her life she had met a good guy.
Yeah,
Maybe he was a little boring. Maybe he wasn't super attractive. Whatever it was.
Yeah.
What made her adverse to the good guys and gravitate towards these men? Yeah.
That's a great question.
It's a good question because a lot of our listeners are going to
powerful question.
Want to know.
I think it was because he had game. He was smooth. I mean, a manipulator is a manipulator for a reason. Like, they're good at their craft. They're deceivers, and they're like wolves. And so he was real smooth. So anyway, so she met a couple guys. I think there was this Filipino guy, and then there was this Italian guy named Vito who owned like an Italian restaurant. So he would always give her like really good Italian food. But for some reason, she just never let those guys stick around. She would just like go on a date with them, take food, maybe hook up, or like she was hooking up all the time. So maybe she'd hook up with them. And she's like, you know, and then she would. Yeah.
He's boring. Yeah,
he's boring.
Not exciting.
He's not exciting.
Yeah. Jesus. This is the problem that a lot of modern women have today. I mean, statistically,
this is still going on.
It is still going on, and it's getting worse. Statistically speaking, you know, women are hooking up with the same guys. They're sharing like the top guys. Like 80% of men are being ignored, but the top 20% of men are getting all the attention from women. And it all comes down to, you know, women looking for that excitement, that bad boy, that, you know, that guy with the game. And they're like ignoring the quote unquote nice guys. Why?
Right.
How do we?
You're like, what do we do to change that?
How do you fix that? How do you know?
Well, I think when the women get burned enough, they should hopefully learn the lesson and be like, okay, let me stay away from the bad, exciting guy because I'm not going to change him. No matter how much sex I have with this man or whatever I do, he's not going to choose me because he just wants whatever beautiful woman he sees. And so when she finally gets that sunken into her head because she got her heart broken enough times, then maybe she would come to the conclusion to be like, okay, I need to look at a man's character. I need to see how he treats me. Does he make me feel special? Does he make me feel loved and valued? I need to see if he's financially stable. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He could provide, and not just look for the exciting guy who might be swaggy or, you know, hood.
But this is what we spoke about on the way over here, though. That takes like guidance. You know, that takes other women, you know, looking out for other women. And then we were speaking about this. A lot of women, you know, I'm not saying all, but a lot of women, you know, rightfully so, are focused on, you know, their family, and you know, and it's really, you know, difficult for them to support other young women. So who is giving the support to these other young women? You know, that's my question. Like, who's giving the, you know, so we were talking, and I think we spoke about the women's group at church. There's a group called Beautiful that at Grace Family Church for women. I think that's a great start here in Tampa Bay, and it's diverse. You know, you got women of all ages, all ethnicities going there, and you can talk.
Yeah,
you know, you can talk to older women. You can get advice, you know, from them, and you know, I really highly suggest that younger women get themselves involved in church and get yourself around some other women and some guidance. Definitely. You know, and then there's on the flip side, there's a male group called Courageous. So, you know, and young men need to get there as well. I mean, because a lot of children are growing up without any guidance, without, you know, mom doesn't really know which direction to go, kind of similar to your story. And, you know, there's no father in the home, you know, or, you know, If he does come, he's not around much, or he's unconscious. That's another big thing. Father could be there, but he's just kind of going through the motions,
right?
Every day. So, I mean, really, all the problems, and we've been doing this show now for, I don't know, 5 months or something, 6 months.
Yeah, I think we're at the 5-month point right now. We started in March, so we're getting to the 5 months.
And everyone we talk to, man, it just, all of our trauma and all that, like, originates from our parents. And then their trauma, originated from their parents. And so, like, the only way that we can make a change is to be better parents, to our children. I mean, we got to listen.
Right.
Got to listen to our children, and then we got to look out for other people's children. Which is crazy. I know that sounds that's not right. I mean, it's not, we're not, we don't have to do it, but we should. Like we should. Like we're all family here.
Yeah, I would agree. It's that whole saying that it takes a village.
It takes a village.
The only problem is that everything now, even from a parent's perspective, is an uphill battle.
It is
because of the outside influences and how readily available those outside influences are, especially if you have a child who's a little bit older, maybe a young teen. They can pull this device out of their pocket, and now they've got so many more influences, just telling them what they should do, what they how they should look, or what how they should be. And it's hard. It gets harder as a parent to kind of protect your kid from that exposure. It's really difficult.
I have a teenager now. She's 14, about to be 15. She's super intelligent. She's like genius level, but because she's got her cell phone and she's reading articles and she's seeing stuff on TikTok or whatever, she has all these views that are completely contrary to my core values. And then she justifies it because she's like, well, I read this article and I read that and I'm so informed. I was like, yeah, you're informed, but you're being informed about the wrong stuff. And so she's developed her own worldview because of her phone.
Yeah.
And so then I'm like, well, I was like, so sometimes I take away the phone because I was like, well, I don't want her exposed to all that. So I take away the phone sometimes, but then she's got to have it because when I'm working, I have to be able to call her and reach her. So it's like she has to have a phone. And then I tried to turn off the cellular data to be like, okay, well, they could have a phone, but they're not going to have internet.
Wow.
So I do that at times, but then that doesn't work because since we have internet at home, because we have to have internet,
Wi-Fi.
They get on the Wi-Fi and they still have access to the internet. So I'm like, I can't shield her from all this negativity of the world, and I can't form the values that I want to form in her because she's so informed about everything. And she's so strong-willed.
These cell phone companies, man, they should offer a good old traditional flip phone. That, like, just if you want to protect your child.
Yes.
Hey, this is,
They sell them though, like
they do?
So that would be my responsibility as a parent to be like,
places you can still get them.
At like T-Mobile and different cellular stores, you could go in and buy a flip phone.
We're gonna have to. I mean, honestly, I think that's a huge step. I mean, like,
but then the problem is their friends. Their friends don't. Have a flip phone.
It's
and
okay.
Then, hey, look at this video.
That's okay. Hey, but at least they don't have access to keep flip into it whenever they want
mitigation of risk.
But the internet at my house and the computer, so then she goes on that instead of her phone.
Right.
So then I'm like, I can't. So what I do at times is I hide the computers.
Okay. All right.
And I take away the phone for a while to be like,
we're in
okay,
a tough time, bro.
It's a tough time.
It's hard.
My kid's 3.5 and he's got a tablet.
Yeah.
And he's swipe. He knows how to. He doesn't have the access to full internet. It's very restricted as to what he can see.
Okay.
But he's got SpongeBob. He's got Mickey Mouse, and he knows how to swipe. He knows how to click on things. He knows. So it's just ingrained in the culture now. Like when he gets to a certain age and he gets access to the full internet, he's gonna be searching all kinds of stuff because he already knows how to do it.
Yeah.
How do you combat that as a parent these days? And it's new. Yeah. This is not something we can go to our parents and say, how do you deal with that? Because our parents didn't have to deal with that. This is new.
I was playing Atari.
Right.
Yo, we got a real problem on our hands.
We do. A lot of things that we're seeing, that we're talking about, and the things that we're seeing, they're all new. There's no answer to it. There's no precedent. because it's brand new. You know what I'm saying? So we just kind of gotta do the best that we can, and hope.
It just sounds like we have no answer.
We don't.
Well, the only answer would be if you literally just hide the computers in your house.
No phone.
But then they're gonna go to their friend's house. Then they're gonna go to school. They're gonna go to the library.
I mean, they still have access, but it's limited access.
Yeah.
Whereas my daughter's mainly home all the time, and so that's where she sees everything on the computer or her phone.
Mm-hmm.
But if I take that away, she's not really around friends at this point where she could at least look at their phones.
Yeah. Well, there's some kid in the lunchroom who's holding up their phone and like, check out this video I saw on World Star, and then
Oh my God.
Somebody who's never been exposed to that is now exposed to. I actually saw. I was watching a TV show the other day. What was it? It was Black Mirror, which I was telling you, David, about this show. It's kind of like a modern Twilight Zone, but it's got a technological spin on it rather than like a supernatural or like alien thing about it. Anyway, so there was this episode. I don't want to spoil it if you guys end up watching it, but it was like this mom put this implant in her daughter that could filter out all of the things that she experienced that would like cause her anxiety. So if she walked by a dog in real life, she would walk by this dog and his dog was barking. The implant would filter out the noise and filter out the image of the dog so it looked blurry to her. And so she went through her entire life being with filters of anything that would cause her like anxiety. And so at some point, there was an issue and her mom was like, okay, we got to cut off the filter. So the filter got cut off. And the first thing that she experienced, there was this kid in school who was like, oh, your filter's off? Guess what I'm going to show you. He whips out his phone and he shows her pornography and he shows her violence that she had never seen before. Like people and she was just like traumatized by it. Right. So it's an extreme example of what it would go on today. If you try to protect your kids from what's out there, you try to hide the computers. You're like, I'm going to get you a flip phone. You ain't going to see any of this stuff. But as soon as they get out into that world and there's that jackass kid with his cell phone and he wants to expose, your kid to that, it's going to happen. And then it's going to be even more of a shock at that point. So do we just let it naturally happen? Let them expose themselves. Let them be exposed to it as it would naturally happen. Do the best that we can to protect them. And then just hope that they turn out to be good people.
Also, I think, taking the phone, before they go to sleep, so they don't have the phone, then, checking it back out in the morning. I mean, I know that's a tough procedure to stick to.
I do that.
But yeah, I think that's another, you can't just let them have a phone.
Right, because she'll be up till 2, 3 in the morning.
And then, who knows what you're looking at, what you're doing. Like, because now you got a little, private space, I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough, man. And then the thing is, like, a lot of parents are, are by themselves, like one parent's in there, or sometimes no parent, and you have to leave the kid with the phone at night,
right, to reach
and
them.
then what do you think the kid's doing with the phone? I mean, oh my goodness, bro.
It's all about risk mitigation. You can do what you can do.
I like that. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, you just gotta reduce the amount of exposure and risk that they have, but you have to understand that you can never get it to zero.
Yo, but like the other thing is, like, man, we went through school with no phone.
We did.
Like,
and we were fine.
I used to walk home. I was in third grade, fourth grade, walking home by myself from school. No cell phone. And my mom, she survived knowing that I was out there, and I survived on my own. You know what I'm saying? So like, we can do it.
We can do it.
It's just not the norm anymore.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
And the kids, they get bullied because they're like, no,
I remember
Mom,
using payphone.
They're like, I can't have a flip phone. All my friends have iPhones. They're going to make fun of me.
They will make fun of you.
I remember riding my dyno bike up to the corner store and talking to my girlfriend on a payphone.
Yeah. That was the only way.
That's not like, man, I'm old.
Dude, yeah.
I'm old, bro.
I'm older than you. So
no, I know. I'm just saying, but that's considered old now.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
They
don't even have payphones now.
Yeah, right?
They're gone. Like, the booth will be there, but the payphone is ripped
They're
out.
all gone. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't even think we have quarters anymore. I know they exist. But
There's a shortage.
Yeah, right.
Landlines, man. Like, it's rare that people have a landline these days.
Yeah, it is. It's very rare.
It's a waste of money. You're like, I have a cell phone. Why should I pay 2 bills?
Right.
Man. And wow.
It's a trying time. The only thing that gets me through is I'm like, I pray all the time for my children.
Yeah.
And I was like, God,
Whenever you worry, just
God reached me at 21 and taught me a whole new way of life. And so I'm like, okay, God, you can do the exact same thing to my kids, no matter what they're exposed to.
Yeah.
They're in your hands.
Yeah.
And you'll give them the revelation and the understanding of what's right and what's not right once you get a hold of them. Because me trying to argue with my daughter every day, it's pointless. And we're just frustrated because no matter what I say, she's going to have her view.
Yeah.
And you're raising your daughter, just you.
Just me. The dad is not around.
The father, he's raising your other daughter.
No. I got divorced 11 years ago, and from that point, I was a single parent where my ex-husband, he barely saw the kids, so it was all on me. So my oldest daughter, who is 23, she lives on her own, so she's not with her father.
Okay, that's right. Okay, got you. That's right.
And then my son, who's 18, he's here with me, but he just recently moved out on his own with a roommate. So now just my one daughter is left in the house.
Gotcha. Okay.
But
what is your son doing?
My son is an amazing salesman. He's got the natural gift of gab.
Yo.
He's an extrovert, probably like you.
Yo, I hate sales, but
you talk to people.
He talks to
but
everyone.
That's a
people.
powerful gift though, is
He's
to
good.
be good at sales.
Yeah.
It is.
Because I've everybody I speak to, like, if you have that sales job at one point in your life, it teaches you how to take rejection, and like it actually prepares you for so much greater.
Yeah.
I mean, like some of the best speakers, were salesmen at one time. Because they're used to rejection.
Yeah,
Like-
you get super comfortable just talking to people.
Yeah, and
You
you're comfortable with talking to people, because I hate rejection, dude.
Right.
Well, most people don't like it.
Most
I
people
would
don't like
imagine.
it,
They're
but
like, "Ooh, I like to be rejected. Yay!
Yeah.
How
I
can I
know,
be
I
rejected
know.
today?"
I think as men though, we get used to being rejected more than women
Yes,
do.
they do.
I'm not used to it, bro. Like, it really, when I get rejected, man, it like breaks me, dude.
Like,
Yeah.
It doesn't happen often, man. Like,
Oh,
so
look
when
at
it does,
David.
like, I'm serious, bro. So like,
like,
that's
I
why I
don't
don't get into sales, man. Because I'm like, for one, also I don't want to sell something that I don't really, I don't use or anything like that. But if I really used it, of course,
Yeah.
I mean, I think I could sell something.
Yeah.
So he just
I sell this show.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, my son just turned 18 in May, and this was his first job since we moved to Florida. And he sells at the mall, makes all commission.
Nice.
And the boy made like $60,000 last
Wow,
year.
Good
bro,
for
that's
him.
sick.
Wow, that's
18
yeah.
years
With his
old.
with
That's
his
solid.
first job.
Bro,
That's solid.
that's why he moved out at 18.
Exactly.
exactly.
He bought
Just-
he bought a
yo.
car. He moved out.
This
I was
dude
like,
60
Yo, this
grand
dude-
at 18. Yeah,
Yo.
that's really
Yo,
solid.
I'm really like impressed.
and he sells shoe cleaner at the mall.
No way.
So he does that well selling shoe cleaner.
Yo, imagine like if this guy,
So I was like, you need to sell real estate.
yeah. If he gets a better product,
Yeah.
he's gonna make even
Oh,
more
yeah.
money. You know what I'm saying? Like,
there you go. And
yeah.
that's the way to look at it, man. Like
Right.
you're selling this, lower end product. Just
Yeah.
imagine if you get a better product.
If
Yeah.
he's making thousands a sale instead of
Oh
Right.
man.
30 to 50 bucks.
Exactly.
It's just preparing him
Mm-hmm.
for something greater.
So I'm grateful that he's
Yeah.
responsible, he's self-sufficient,
Wow.
and he saw
Look
me
at this man.
he saw me struggle as a single mom.
Yeah.
And so he respects me, and he's really loving and affectionate, and he knows
Sounds
everything
like
that
a
I
really, really good young man.
Yeah. And how old is he? You said 18.
just turned 18.
This is
Wow.
like, I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. That's kind of a rarity, right?
It is. It's
For a
super
man to
rare.
have it like
Super rare.
together at that age.
Yeah, and if he continues to focus on that,
Man, this guy could do anything.
yeah, for sure.
Oh man, we got to get this guy on here.
Get
Let's talk to this
Josiah on
guy,
here, yeah.
Seriously.
He would love
Josiah?
it.
Seriously.
Josiah.
That's a beautiful name. That's one of
Josiah.
the pastors at City Life too, Josiah.
Yeah, I like him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty good, man. Yeah, I like him a lot.
It's amazing too because in 2001 when I found out about my father, I also was pregnant and I lost a baby because I had this grapefruit-sized cyst that I didn't know about.
Okay.
So they had to do
a
an
really
emergency.
Common problem, the cyst.
Yeah, it was a
with women.
huge. Yeah, it was like a grapefruit. So I'm pregnant,
goodness.
and then I have this big old cyst. So then the surgeon's like, well, we have to remove it because if the cyst bursts, you can die. And the only reason why I knew I had the cyst was because this tiny little baby that was probably this big was pressing against the cyst, and I was
wow.
in excruciating pain. So anyway, so what happens is I find out about my dad. Then a couple weeks later, I'm in the emergency room. They have to remove my whole right side, like my ovary and my fallopian tube. So I only have one side left.
Yeah.
They remove all this.
Oh my goodness.
They're like, oh, well, the baby survived. Thank God the baby survived. I was like, oh, okay. But then a week later, the baby passed away.
No way.
So I found out about my dad. I lose my right side. I lose a baby. And then 9/11 happens.
Oh, geez.
And I was just like, and I was trying not to be depressed because my whole world was just like,
oh yeah.
So, but then I had to be like, okay, Monica, the baby goes right back to God.
Mm-hmm.
It gets to get raised in heaven and have this perfect life. It doesn't have to suffer down here on earth.
Yeah.
So the baby saved my life because if I didn't know it, I could have died from this cyst.
Yeah.
So the baby saved my life. It goes back to God, and I'll meet the baby when I go to heaven. And then I lost this child. So then fast forward to like maybe 2 years later, I'm in my church in Chicago, and this visiting pastor comes, and he's like, God says that somebody here, you lost a baby. Who are you? Stand up. And I was like, I look at my ex-husband. I was like, oh, that's me. I lost a baby. So I stand up, and he gives me this word. He's like, you lost a baby, but by this time next year, you're going to have a son, and he's going to God's going to use him in music, and he's going to go all over the world like ministering in music, and you're going to have a son. So anyway, I was like, okay, so I received that word. And so just like he said, a year later, I had Josiah.
Wow.
And so we chose the name Josiah because Josiah means God heals and God restores.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
And so since I lost a baby,
Wow.
God blessed me with Josiah, and he restored. And so
Wow.
that's why he's Josiah.
What a
powerful.
great story. Incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
And he's the middle child. He's the only boy. I have 2 girls. He's right in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So I always felt so bad for him because I was like, he grew up without his father.
Yeah.
And he grew up with a whole house of women, and he's the only guy in the house.
But that's probably what made him you know, what he is today.
Yeah.
And your oldest daughter, she's moved out?
She didn't move here to Florida with us. She was living on her own since she was 18.
Another
and
self-sufficient.
Yeah.
And she's a bridal consultant and a fashion stylist.
So you just raised self-sufficient children.
It's good.
I mean, you need to like put out a book.
It's
Right.
funny. It's
about
funny.
that.
This is so rare because I have a friend who she is a 52-year-old mother. She's got 3 kids. Her oldest is 24. So kind of around your kid's age, 24. She's got her son is like her youngest son. She got pregnant at 44, so he's 8.
Oh,
Right. So she had a kid pretty late in life, and then she's got her daughter is in between the oldest and the youngest. I want to say she's about 19, 20. Anyway, they're all at home, and they refuse
To do anything?
They refuse to move out. Like
Wow.
her oldest son works; he's got a job and he makes good money. And then her daughter, who's in the middle, I think she's still a student, but they have openly said we're not moving out. And this is
Wow.
common for young people these days. It's common for young people to say, my life is comfortable here.
I got it good.
If I move out, it's gonna get exponentially harder because now I got to pay my own bills. I got to pay my own way. I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna take it easy and stay where I am. This is very common. I watched a video on this today on YouTube about how Gen Z, the youngest generation, and younger millennials are like, we're not moving out. And so the fact that you have your kids are like, you know what, we can make our own way and we're out of here, just is a testament to your guidance as a parent and
Definitely.
showing them like, listen, you gotta take care of yourself. You gotta do your own thing and get out there. And they're like, okay, we'll do that. And that's awesome. I just think that's amazing.
I'm grateful that it turned out that way because every day I was just depending on God's grace because I'm working and trying to pick up and drop off to school and do homework and do everything by myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to do the best that I can, but every day was a struggle and I would cry all the time. And I was like, God, I got married to do things the right way. I thought that my mom was never married. She was a single mom. So I thought that we were breaking like that generational curse, that I was breaking that pattern to be like, we got married, we had a family. And so I was like, but yet I still turned out as a single mom because I was in a very toxic marriage that I had to break out of. And so when I broke out of it, I was like, now I'm a single mom struggling with my kids, trying to do the best that I can.
Yeah.
And so now when I see that they're self-sufficient and they're responsible and they're respectful and all these things, I was just like, thank God, because I didn't think that I was doing a good job.
Right.
To be honest.
Yeah.
I was just trying to get by each day, And so now I'm like, wow, they're all smart. They're all respectful. They're responsible. My youngest, who's about to be 15, she's like, as soon as I turn 18, I want to go to an Ivy League and then I want to go to Paris.
Yeah.
And I'm out of here.
How many kids?
She's like, I'm out of here. And she's teaching herself French.
Wow.
So that she can go live in Paris.
Right. And she's doing it.
And she's counting down. She's like, I got 3 more years with you and then I'm out of here.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
This
but
is
Ruth,
incredible.
you don't have to leave yet. Like, and she's like, no, I'm out. And then my son, I was like, Josiah, you make $4,000 or $5,000 a month.
Wow.
Why don't you just stay here with me until we buy a house and we move?
Right.
And you could just save all that money. You don't have to just go and pay all these bills and spend like half your money on bills. He's like, no, Mom. I want to be responsible and I want to learn how to budget. And he's like, because now all I do is buy shoes and buy clothes and I waste all my money.
Yeah.
He's like, I want to be forced to be responsible so that I know how to budget and I have responsibility.
Tell that man to get a financial advisor.
There we go.
Yes.
It's incredible.
Honestly,
Yeah.
no, I'm dead serious.
Yes.
Like he's making good money, and I mean, you don't have to make good money to get a financial advisor. But I'm just saying, like, he should get a financial advisor.
That's absolutely right. If you start investing,
Yeah.
at his age,
Yes, he'll be a millionaire.
Yes.
by
Easily.
mid 30s,
Easily.
he'll be a millionaire,
Yeah.
and he'll be retired by 45,
yeah.
50. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, it's very important that earlier you start investing,
Yes.
is the better.
Yep.
So you don't have to wait till you start making great money to
No.
invest, because it's it's all about compound
you
interest.
build-
Yeah. So get
I will definitely.
Yeah. And honestly, man, financial advisors, they get paid off of your investments. They get a small percentage. So it's not like he's got to come out of his pocket. Like, that's a lot of people think that they gotta, come out and spend money to get a financial advisor. But
Yeah, just the other day he was by the house because he got sick, so he stood with me a few days till he got better. And he's like, Mom, I need to make another stream of income. He's like, I got to do something else besides this. So then I was like, well, he's like, I should do what you do, because I do credit card processing, like merchant card services. So I set up businesses to take credit cards and POS systems and all that stuff. So anyway, but what happens is when I get an account, it builds my residual income. So depending on how these businesses do each month, I get a check the first of the month based on what they did in credit card processing.
Sure.
So he's like, I need to do what you do so I could build a residual income. He's like, because now if I don't go to work and sell, I don't make any money. Whereas you've got this money coming in every month, no matter what you do.
Yeah.
So then I was like, well, that would be great, because if you do so good at this, you could kill it with what I do. Like, he's a much better salesman than I am.
Yeah.
I think so. So anyways, I was like, but when will you do it? Because you work 6 days a week. He's only off on Thursdays. He's like, well, I'd have to do it on my day off to go to
7
businesses.
days a week.
There you
He's
go.
like, because I need I want residual income.
When you have that energy at that age, working 60, you should work 60 hours a week.
with his focus, though, man,
Yeah.
I mean, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, dudes, there's really no excuse for not, working your ass off
When you're young.
or young or any age. As long as you're an able-bodied man,
True.
there's no excuse,
point.
for being broke. There's a lot of people that I know who will complain about, you know what I'm saying, I'm living paycheck to paycheck, but then they'll tell me, they watched 8-9 hours of their favorite TV show that week.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, what the
there
hell?
it is. There it is right there.
Why don't you work an extra 10-20 hours a week if you can do that?
And read a book and learn a new skill.
Seriously,
there you go.
seriously, like,
Wow.
and the younger the better, because you got more energy, you have more free time, more freedom. I think your son's killing it. He's doing a great job.
Man.
I'm grateful. I was like, thank you, Jesus.
Yeah, you can tell by your fruit, that you are doing a great job.
Oh yeah.
you know?
Thank God for that.
Yeah, thank God. Yeah, I mean, I think this was a really good show, man.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, man. Thank you, Monica, for coming on. And
My pleasure.
I think we should, maybe even come back if you got more for us. Whenever we could set something up, again.
Yeah, you know what? We didn't really talk about your relationships, right? So that could be a whole
we
talked a lot about your mom's relationships,
but
not so much yours. So
I'd love to talk about that, especially because I really wanted to talk about like what it was like being fatherless.
Okay.
Yes.
And that effect that it had on me as a teenager, as an adult. And then, I didn't have, I had a couple male relationships, but they weren't good.
Okay.
Only a few, like I wasn't with a bunch of men. So I was probably spared from a lot of stuff, but it still wasn't good. And so, finding a man that I have a really good relationship with is extremely important to me because I've never had that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, that's a whole nother topic.
That's another one.
We got to have you back.
Yeah, we definitely do.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. You can catch all of our episodes on YouTube and Spotify at Better Gents Podcast, and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Better Gents Pod. Thank you and take care.